He's Lindsay Crosby. I'm Ben Taylor. Welcome in Braves today. It's all been brought to you by Active Wealth Management. Go to annuity360.net for your free book. Lindsay, could the biggest signee in the offseason or recruiting job come in the form of Max Fried that we keep discounting as heading out? And the reason being is because one name that keeps coming at us is we do ask you guys to drop the names in the comments. We did do a pod on him before, however, and that is Snell, that everybody keeps going, we need to go after Snell. We need to go after Snell. And you and I have talked about it, and you're getting pretty much the same thing, or even better if you keep Fried, who is familiar with the program, and you pay the man his money, and which is going to take in order to extend him. But you also have another name that we're going to throw out at the end of the pod here that a lot of people may not have heard of. But let's do the Snell Fried scenario.
Yeah, so when you look at Atlanta's roster next year and the pitching rotation specifically, they've indicated that they want to give Yanni Chirinos another shot. They think that with some more work in an offseason, they can get him into more like he used to be. He's out of options. So he either works or he gets canned. He gets traded. Yeah. Michael Soroka, similar boat. You've paid him, I think, $8 million the last 4 years, and you've gotten like 30 innings out of him because he was rehabbing all those years. He also, because you called him up too early and then he got hurt, like I talked about on the site, he's in his final year of control. He has no options left either. He can reject being sent to the minor leagues and become a free agent. So everybody's saying, go sign Blake Snell. Here's the thing. What does Blake Snell give you that Max Fried does not? Blake Snell won a Cy Young. Like, he has a Cy Young trophy. That is a thing Max Fried does not have. But outside of that, from an actual performance standpoint, what does Blake Snell give you that Max Fried does not give you? And when you look at the expected contracts for these guys, a lot of the projections for Blake Snell, it's $25 to $30 million a year. I mean, if you go and you look, he put up, I think it's just over 4 WAR this year. He's got 10 WAR over his last 3 years. Mm-hmm. And if you kind of break that out, based off of what these things usually go for, you're looking at an expectation of something like $135 million over 5 years. That's $27 million a year. Why not just give that money to Max Fried?
Exactly. Everybody keeps talking about, are you going to pay Max Fried? Are you going to pay Max Fried? Well, if you're willing to pay a guy to come in from the outside, and let's just say Fried has a good year, barring the blister, get rid of it. He's got plenty more time now to rest that and get rid of that and that go away off of his finger before the season begins. I mean, they could even take it easy on him when spring training begins in February when pitchers and catchers start to report. So he can work more on strength and conditioning and not so much on new. That's another reason that blister came up. He was working on a lot of new pitches this past year. So they said that ended up messing with him a little bit. Mm-hmm. Maybe they don't do that this coming year. So he has a good year. Instead of going outside the organization and paying $30 million to somebody, there's a guy right there that will take $30 million probably.
Who we love. We like him. We love him. And the whole reason we assumed that he wasn't going to re-sign was because Atlanta's never committed more than $22 million a year to any player under Alex Anthopoulos. It has not happened. That was the highest point of the Dansby Swanson deal. Like they never budged above $22 million a year to keep Dansby, and he goes to Chicago because they offered him like 27, 28, something stupid like that. So if you want Atlanta to go over that $22 million threshold, I'm not saying as a hard cap, I'm just saying they've never done it yet. Mm-hmm. And to do it, pay $27 million for a guy like Snell, or like we talked about last episode, trade for Tyler Glasnow, and he's making $25 million this year. Why not go a couple million higher and give Max Fried $30 million to stay? And so my idea here is, instead of signing Blake Snell, you can go ahead and make an arrangement with Max Fried. You don't have to pay him $30 million in year one. Most of these extensions for guys like this don't do that, simply because you would have been able to get him. He's projected to make like $14 million in arbitration or whatever. So you can split the difference and give him like 17 or whatever. Even if you keep Morton around for another year at $20 million, you've got those two guys. You still have, like we mentioned earlier, you've got Soroka, you've got Chirinos, you've got other options you can see if you can make into a third, postseason starter, a fourth postseason starter. And then when Morton's $20 million rolls off because he's gone after 24, Fried's money goes up. And then my idea, though I wrote it up on the site, it dropped on Wednesday afternoon, is you go give a multi-year deal to Tyler Mahle from the Twins. People are probably like, who is that and why would you do that? He was traded from the Reds to the Twins at the deadline in 2022. And then he got hurt. He had Tommy John surgery early this year, early in 2023 in like May. And so he's going to miss all of next year. But when he was pitching and he was not having to pitch in Cincinnati, because that's a terribly small ballpark.
It is, but everybody loves to hit in Cincinnati.
Yeah. It's 325 down the line. The power alleys are 370. Come on. So his Mahle's best year is 2021. And his overall stats aren't amazing, right? 3.75 ERA in 33 starts, went 13-6. It's not bad. 210 strikeouts, 180 innings. Okay. On the road that year, he was 8-2 with a 2.30 ERA. He gave up 5 home runs in 18 road starts that year. And so my idea is, okay, if Morton comes back, you can sign Tyler Mahle to a multi-year deal now. You're paying for his rehab when he does not pitch in 2024. You know he's not going to pitch in 2024.
Right.
You're paying for his rehab, but then you can probably do 25 and then maybe even 26 with a club option after that. The reason why you'd be okay with doing this is you've seen when he's not in that ballpark, he can be a really good pitcher. So one, you're able to lock in some of that at a lower value. I think you could do a 2-year deal for $20 million total, and he wouldn't make more than $2.5 million in 2024, and the rest of that would be in 25. You put a club option on the end of that. But also, one, the surgeon that he used, Dr. Keith Meister in Dallas, that's who we send all of our Tommy John guys to. Prospect Blake Burkhalter had it early in the year. Tyler Matzik had it last October. They all went to Dr. Meister in Dallas. So you're familiar with what he does. Also, you did this exact same contract thing with Kirby Yates and with Tyler Matzik. So Kirby Yates had Tommy John in May of 2021. You signed him that November. He didn't pitch at all in 22. He earned $1 million. He pitched in 23. Looked pretty good, only made $6 million, and you have a club option for less than that for him in 2024. Tyler Matzik followed a similar structure as that. So to me, instead of signing Blake Snell and coming out $27 million, $30 million, whatever, go ahead and commit that money to Max Fried. You don't have to pay him that money in 2024 because he was going to make less. You were already going to be paying him anyway. So you have money to pay for Morton in 24. And then when Morton rolls off the books, you've got more money going to Fried. You've got money going to Tyler Mahle. You get 2 pitchers in 2025, including keeping Fried around. You still have your 2 aces up top. You have Mahle as a number 3. You get Kyle Wright back. You should have AJ Smith-Shawver in the rotation by then. Herson Waldrop should be ready to go by then. And that's not even counting guys like Bryce Elder, who was an all-star last year, Jared Schuster, maybe Michael Soroka works out and you sign him long-term. If you're going to come out of pocket to sign a guy, just sign Max Fried. Just give him that money, and then you can find other ways to make it work around that. That's the big takeaway that I have on this is Blake Snell, that's a great name. Instead of signing Blake Snell, just sign Max Fried. Blake Snell led the league in walks last year. Yep. He works out of traffic a lot, and the odds of him repeating that year are not going to be great. Meanwhile, you know what Max Fried can do. You know how good he can be in a full season. He was the runner-up for the Cy Young last year, and his peripherals were a lot better than Snell's.
No doubt.
That's all. If you want the Braves to sign Blake Snell, just sign Max Fried instead. That's it.
It's all brought to you by Active Wealth and Active Wealth Management. Lindsay, take a break while we thank Ford for being a proud partner of us here at Braves today. Go to annuity360.net. Give you the contact information. Ford's going to send you a complimentary copy of his book. He and his team from Active Wealth specialize in assisting pre-retirees and retirees that are ready to invest. They have the knowledge and expertise to guide you towards making sound financial decisions. Ford's registered investment advisor, Brookstone Capital Management, manages an impressive $8.5 billion in assets. That's the kind of experience that you want on your side. Again, annuity360.net to get your free book today. Before we go, Lindsay, I do want to bring up you bring up that number, that 22 million that everybody keeps saying, well, he's not going to sign anybody for over. I will say this. Fans, wrap your head around this. It's not that he won't sign anybody for over 22 million. It's the moves that he has made. The Murphys of the world, the Olsons of the world, the getting rid of Danes, being able to bring Arcia up. Now, I know that was kind of honestly, I think a little, here's that word again, a little luck involved in that because I think they wanted Grissom at short. It just didn't pan out. Arcia ended up showing up and ended up becoming an all-star. But still, it's not the fact that he won't sign anybody over 22 million. It's that he hasn't had to in the last couple of years. There have been other options out there. So please know that when he's out there looking, he may be finding somebody that you don't have to pay $22 million to.
And supposedly, reportedly, they did offer Freddie Freeman 140 over 6, which is like 23 and change. So they had an offer supposedly on the table that would have gone over that. But then they turned around and they signed Matt Olson after trading for him for $168 million over 8 years, which is $21 million a year. So they decided we'd rather give up a couple prospects and save a couple $1,000,000 a year by getting the younger version of Freddie Freeman, who we think is going to age almost as well as Freddie Freeman does and is a couple years younger. Like, I'm not saying they're never going to do it. They haven't done it yet. And if you're going to insist that they do it, forget Tyler Glasnow, forget Blake Snell, just do it for Max Fried.
Yeah.
I still don't know if he's going to do it or not. I still think Max Fried's going to make it to free agency. He may come back. I still think he's going to make it to free agency. But if you sign Blake Snell to a 5-year deal, you know Max Fried's not coming back. Like, that's not happening. You don't have the payroll space to pay both those guys. You just can't do it. So all I'm saying is if you decide to finally go over 22 million, make it Max Fried over paying somebody from the outside. That's all I'm saying.
Somebody that's used to the clubhouse, used to the organization, and somebody that's been happy thus far. That's another thing. Everybody assumes he wants to go back to California. Max Fried seems to be fairly happy. He's going to Hawks games. He's been going to Falcons games.
Atlanta loves him.
Yeah, Atlanta. Not like now that the offseason's here, he didn't just move back to California. He's still hanging out in the area. So, and pretty soon, I mean, after Christmas, he's going to be headed to South Florida. So he's not going to be in California then either. So it should be interesting about this offseason. Keep the names coming. I do like the names, and it doesn't – I do like that you guys are thinking outside of the box as well. Not all of them have been free agents. It's been, hey, can we trade for this guy? What can we give up for this guy? Totally okay with that. I think that's awesome. That's why we all get to play general manager for the next few days until after the World Series, which could be coming to an end rather quickly. And so it's been a fun offseason. It's going to be even more fun when we start seeing names drop and we see moves made. And because right now they can do it internally, so we have seen a couple of names that have popped.
Pierce Johnson came back, yeah.
Yep, and Johnson which I think is also a good move. And so we've had that happen. We'll see what that happens with any other players between now and that deadline. But deadline's coming up. I'm looking forward to it. It should be an interesting thing. Keep the names coming. He is Lindsay Crosby. I'm Ben Taylor. It's all been brought to you by Active Wealth Management. Go to annuity360.net for your free book. Lindsay, as always, I greatly appreciate your time, sir.
Thanks, buddy.